Welcome to episode 2 of Let's Talk Ball. This time around, I got Gary on the couch. How you doing, bro?
Doing good. It's getting warmer out, so I'm starting to play ball a little bit. Feeling good, man.
How's the shoulder feeling?
Been alright. Been better, but
getting back into it.
Getting back into it.
All right, let's stay on the topic of ball. I mean, might as well on the Let's Talk Ball podcast. A lot has happened in the NBA up to this point. We got about a month left of the season, if that, like 4 or 5 weeks. We're sitting pretty, Cavs and Celtics fans, but there's a lot of teams who are kind of on the ropes, and one of them is the Phoenix Suns. Now, I don't even believe that they're going to make the playoffs. I think their defense is just absolutely horrendous. Like, you can't just rely on Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant to each drop 30 points a game, and I think that's what they've been doing. And there's been a lot of talk about where Kevin Durant will go in the offseason. I know there's a lot of rumors that he was going to get traded this deadline, and he wanted to stay in Phoenix. Didn't make sense for me why he wanted to stay. But do you think that Phoenix has a chance to sneak in the playoffs, maybe the play-in? And if so, what will it take for him to get there, or why won't it work?
I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, honestly, and it's crazy to say that with a team like you're just having Kevin Durant, Booker, and Beal.
Yeah.
But I mean, the defense is atrocious outside of like Richards and somewhat Booker, of course.
Who they acquired, like Richards hasn't even been there all year. But I mean, you also like you're saying, you can't your center can't be the defensive anchor of your team, especially when nobody else defends. But I agree. It's crazy that I think preseason they would probably have top 10 odds to be in the finals. Yeah, right. And now they're probably. They're probably minus money to not make the playoffs, which is insane. But there was a lot of rumors of where Kevin Durant would go at the trade deadline, and one of them was Golden State, and they had a deal in place, and he declined the trade to Golden State. In my opinion, I was like, why? It's such a better A, you're probably gonna make the playoffs or play in. B, you get to go back to where you've played. And C, you're playing with Steph Curry, probably the best player you would play with at this current moment. Obviously, they acquired Jimmy Butler, but your thoughts on why he wouldn't want to go there, why he stayed in Phoenix? Do you think he could have made a push?
Honestly, I don't know. Maybe he has his mind made of where he wants to go already. Maybe he's looking already into the future.
Got you.
And he sees a vision in a different spot, not named Golden State. Honestly, I think Golden State's done, and I'm not going to say that's what Kevin Durant's thinking, because let's be honest, if Kevin Durant went there, then maybe we'd be having a different conversation.
Right.
I don't know. I don't really understand it either, because, of course, if they paired up again, then they'd obviously be one of the favorites to win the title.
Absolutely.
But, maybe he just has his heart set in a spot.
Do you think that he thinks that Phoenix could make a move this offseason, which I think it's the problem with Phoenix is Bradley Beal's no trade clause. That's what they were trying to acquire. They were trying to acquire all these different names. Jimmy Butler, all these different names were on the trade block this offseason, or this trade deadline, which they couldn't acquire because of Bradley Beal's no trade clause. He literally said, "This is where I'm staying. My family is here. I have no trade clause. Only 2 people in the league have no trade clause: LeBron James and Bradley Beal." That's insane to me. But I don't know. Does he think that Phoenix can make a move? There's not really moves to be made. They can only acquire so much more cap. They can only acquire, trade away so many more picks. They don't have any picks. That's the thing. They're not going to have their first round pick this year, which is probably going to be a top 10 pick. That's going to suck for them. But obviously, that's the stuff you got to do when you're trying to acquire Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal. You have to trade away your future. And although I do really like the Nick Richards pickup, a young center who it's not very hard to play with Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant, especially at a center. They have Tyus Jones, who is another veteran pickup, veteran minimum pickup. For some reason, it just doesn't work. Maybe it's Mike Budenholzer. Maybe it's just the lack of defense within Booker and Beal. Obviously, Booker's a better defender than most people at his position, but he's still not an elite defender. And Durant's, 35, 36 years old? He's not that defender that he was. And was he ever really a good defender? No. Exactly. He's a scorer. And I don't know. I don't see the vision in Phoenix. And there's a lot of rumors that he's going to be traded this offseason, literally this summer. The whole world thinks he's going to get traded this summer. I think he thinks he's going to get traded this summer. What are some destinations in your mind make the most sense for Kevin Durant and the team surrounding him? Maybe bubble championship teams, maybe younger teams. What are your thought process on where Kevin Durant should be traded at this time of his career and where the team is set in the future?
I mean, you talk about a team that's in the headlines. I think Dallas is just a perfect fit.
Really?
I do. I mean, Well, let's just be honest. Nico wants to get older, apparently. So, I mean, you're doing that by firing Kevin Durant.
Something that came up was that Luka Doncic didn't fit their younger timeline. And I was like, he is peak 25 years. That just didn't make sense. It wasn't even Nico. It was the other fat dude. You know, I don't know. But keep going. I understand, Dallas. Keep going.
So, I think, obviously, how I say this might come out one way, but I'll tell you what I mean. Kyrie Irving's injury might not necessarily be the worst thing. Might be a blessing in disguise.
Right.
In the sense that he's a free agent next year.
Right.
Maybe teams are not necessarily so eager to sign him because he's getting older. He's coming off of, he tore his ACL, right?
Yeah, probably the worst injury you can get at this age.
Right, exactly. He's, 34 probably? Around there. Maybe Dallas can get him on a cheaper deal. Keep him around. Obviously, they make the move for AD. As long as he's healthy, he's obviously one of the best players in the game.
Absolutely.
And if they get Kevin Durant, then that's a really nice core trio.
Right.
That, that type of winning is kind of going away in the NBA, in my opinion. But if you tell me I want a trio to win a championship, that's probably a really good trio.
Yeah, so. No, I agree. I genuinely thought this trade deadline that KD could get moved to Dallas before they made the move for AD. But in my head, like Kyrie, KD, and AD, obviously like the big three basketball is going out, I think. As the Celtics win and the Nuggets win, like they don't have big threes.
Right.
But I think it's more of that. That's more than a big three. Like obviously, who would you say would be traded to Phoenix? Because I think it'll work for both parties. Like Phoenix will get younger and get picks for Kevin Durant, and Kevin Durant will get to a place where he can win basketball games. So like, what do you think the package would be?
Well, what's funny is they'd obviously have to give up at least a one first, at least.
Right. Yeah.
And
right.
They got that in the Luka trade,
right, exactly.
It's crazy because you think like obviously Kevin Durant's 35, 36 probably.
Yeah.
So while I say at least one first, like it honestly might not be that much more than like that. It will be, but not insane.
Yeah.
You just traded Luka. You would think you have all these assets to be able to do it. They just don't.
No.
Like
I was thinking like maybe like a PJ Washington will be centered around it. Who's that guard? I'm literally blanking. He got hurt too. Everybody in Dallas is hurt.
Exum.
Not Exum. He's like he's a really younger point guard. He's blanking on my name. It'll be on the screen right now. He's actually a good player. Him, PJ Washington, and maybe like 2 first-round picks. Just to make the cap, like maybe you have another cap filler and like some bum off the bench or something. But something that Phoenix can get a little bit younger. They can get some draft capital and kind of retool around. Maybe they trade Devin Booker too. I doubt it. Devin Booker is pretty much their heart and soul. But I like your mindset. Like an older team that has probably a 3-year window, which they think they have like a 5 to 10 year window for some reason. But no, I think the 3-year window makes sense, and I think Durant would only benefit playing off of Kyrie and having AD as like. Not only AD, but Gafford, Lively. Maybe they'd be in that trade for Kevin Durant, but you never know. Another team, I think I'm going to take an opposite approach to where I think Kevin Durant's going to go. I'm going to go an Eastern Conference team that has surprised a lot of people this season. Very young team, has a lot of assets, and I think both parties would benefit. I had the Detroit Pistons making a move for Kevin Durant. Now, it's a little outlandish, I think, but the way they've been playing this season has shocked everybody. They've doubled their win total. Cade Cunningham is playing at MIP level. I don't really understand Cade and MIP conversations, but he's at MIP level. Jalen Duren playing at an absolute best basketball. They have veterans like Malik Beasley and Tobias Harris who were pretty much bums on their previous teams, now come into an organization that isn't really known for winning the last 5 to 10 years, really, and has really changed the culture. Now, how the trade would happen is Tobias Harris would fill that cap space role. Then I think they would have to get rid of one of 3 of Duren, Ron Holland, or Jaden Ivey. Obviously, I would say Ron Holland is the like Detroit would be better off getting rid of him. Yeah. But fifth overall pick this season, it's headed to Phoenix. Maybe he can be the co-star next to Devin Booker and Bradley Beal for as long as Bradley Beal is going to be there. And I would say this trade would take 3 first-round picks just because of the. They're not really receiving anything else besides Tobias Harris, who's probably on a 1-year contract, who's making $30 million just to make the Kevin Durant money work, along with Ron Holland. Maybe you throw in, maybe another filler who's like just a younger player. But I think Detroit would benefit from Kevin Durant scoring. I think he would work perfect along Cade Cunningham. Cade's not really like, he's more of like a Shea Gilgeous-Alexander point guard where he needs the ball in his hands, but he's not going to be like step back 3, like crossover dribble hezzy 2. Like
Makes the right play.
Yeah, exactly. He's gonna make the right play at the right time. I think Cunningham, Durant, and Duran would be a very valid big 3. And you can even call it a big 3. Like, I think it really a big 2. Duran's more of a, helper at the 5. And then you got players like Malik Beasley who coming in, splashing threes off the bench or whatever. You probably start him at that point. But I think Durant to Detroit, very, like, when I'm talking about it, it's not sexy. It's not like a sexy place for KD to go. But it's more of like how Chris Paul came to San Antonio, and he kind of changed that a little bit. I think if Durant went to Detroit, especially for a younger package, Phoenix would not only benefit from getting younger and the first round picks. Detroit now gets their guy for the next 3 years. I think Kevin Durant can hoop for the next 3 to 4 years at a high level, like top 15 level. And if that happens, maybe Detroit. This Eastern Conference is loaded, right? And Detroit's got to do something to get over the edge. They can't just keep selecting lottery picks and hoping they pan out. So I think KD would really change the culture there.
I like it. It's definitely not one that I thought of, honestly. That would be cool to see Cade play against or with another superstar.
Right. I don't think he's ever played with anybody above like Duran's probably been his best teammate all the time. So I think it'd be cool. Obviously, would they be championship contenders? I mean, who knows? Maybe Cade takes another leap next season and he's in like the top 10 like maybe like an Anthony Edwards-esque, jump. But obviously, like, this Eastern Conference between the Cavs, Celtics, Bucks, Knicks, I'm not putting the 76ers
very
in
top
there.
heavy.
But very, very top heavy. I could see that making a little run. But your thoughts on maybe Detroit acquiring KD?
No, that's cool. Like I said, I didn't think about that. I don't know necessarily if he would want that,
right?
But I think it would be cool to watch.
Yeah.
And I mean, let's just not even forget to talk about the fact that if he went to OKC, then
that was I thought where you were gonna go, so I didn't go there. I
don't want to go there.
I think OKC would kind of be disgusting. Now, granted, I think they'd have to give up one of Chet, J-Dub, probably one of those two, but the league might be in trouble if KD goes to.
I mean, they just have so many assets, so it's like they realistically can make a trade for whoever they want,
whenever they want,
and it's just so scary to think about that. And that's why I told you. Mm-hmm. If you tell me the Thunder are, like, real contenders in 2 years, I'm all for it. Mm-hmm. Like, when they, even last year, and, like, when they were first starting to become, like, good, mm-hmm. I wasn't too high on them because I still felt they were a year or two out.
Right.
And they were a player or two away. Well, not necessarily they're a player or two away now, but their guys were stepping up, and they're getting older and more experienced. Also, the fact that they have all these assets, right? They can just make a move at any time, whenever they want, and just knowing that is scary.
So, would you agree? The Thunder are definitely, and I would say there's 4 teams within the championship bubble right now. Do you think the Thunder are in that 4 teams to win the championship this season?
Yes.
And if Kevin Durant say they don't win it this season, say whatever team wins it this season, take a step back, look at the roster, and say we're one piece away. They go out and trade J-Dub, Nikola Topic, who nobody even's talking about, was a lottery pick this season. 3 first-round picks, get Kevin Durant. Now their lineup's looking like Shea, Keeson Wallace, KD, Chet, and Ihart. Are you saying that they would be the number 1 contenders in the NBA? I would think it's hard to say no to that.
Yeah, I'd probably say yes, assuming they're able to keep those bench defenders as well. I mean, the thing with the Thunder for me this year is, like, obviously the past 10 games, their defense has not been great. I think they've been 15th in the league in the last 10 games in defense. But their offense still remains at the top level. They're second in the last 10 games. But this whole entire season, their defense at home is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, that's why, like, it scares me. Like, as a Cavs fan, I want us to beat out them for the 1 seed. Because in a perfect world, say we make it to the finals versus the Thunder, I don't want to play at OKC for 4 games. I don't want to play a Game 7 in OKC because their defense at home is just unbelievable. And, I mean, we saw it this year. When we went there, we got smacked in the mouth.
Yeah.
We were down 40, like, I think in the third quarter.
Yeah, well, it's just crazy.
So
like the defenders on that team, like, just like I could like Shea, Keeson Wallace, Alex Caruso, and then you go to the rim and you got to see Ihart and Chet Holmgren. It's just It's just absolutely insane. We're going to head into our daily Dabble entry. It's time for our daily Dabble entry. Let's go. Now, if you don't know about Dabble Fantasy, it's pretty much a DFS app. You pick more or less on your favorite players to score points, rebounds, assists, whatever you want. And when you use my code right now, All Talk Sports, link in the description, they give you a free $10 when you sign up. You don't even have to deposit anything. So here's how it's going to go. Me and Gary are going to create a lineup right now. If I get one correct, I get a check mark, score, point, whatever, at the end of the podcast, which we're probably never going to end. We're just going to keep tally for the whole rest of the NBA season, okay? And whoever has the most points at the end of the NBA season will be crowned the Daily Dabble champion. But also, if me and Gary hit an entry, or me and Thomas, or me and Justin hit an entry, we will also put a check mark in that tally score. So, Gary, do you have a pick today that you're looking at, maybe?
So there's 8 games tonight, and none of them are crazy good, but I'm looking at the Pacers-Bucks game. Bucks are at home this time. I could see it happening again. And
who do you like?
I want to go with either Giannis or Dame's points. They honestly could both do it.
Pick one. Pick one's more than.
I think I'm going to go with Dame tonight.
Dame more than points? What's his line?
Dame 22.5 points.
All right, we'll take it, and I'll pick the next one, and hopefully the entry hits. All right, tonight, I like to stay with games that are not going to be blowouts. So I know that, like, at least my guy has a chance to play all 4 quarters. I see the Warriors versus the Knicks. Okay, that's a great game. I see that Jalen Brunson's obviously going to be out for a couple more games. And centers absolutely cook versus the Warriors because they have no center play besides Quentin Post, who sucks. He actually's not that bad. I actually mess with Quentin Post games. So I'm looking at rebounds for Karl-Anthony Towns, and I don't even see him because his line's probably at 20.5. So let's just go with my boy Karl-Anthony Towns points. I like it. And 3XR cash right now. If you guys want to check on the daily Dabble, you can literally copy our entry right now because this post will be out before the games tonight. Make sure to check it out. Link in the description. Shout out Dabble Fantasy for sponsoring this podcast. Anything else you want to say before we hop off for episode 3 next week?
Hey, man. Go Cavs.
Go Cat. Yeah.
Cavs.
Go Celtics. Peace.